Meantime, we have in the studio with us, a lot of you know him for those advocacy videos, those wellness and health advocacy videos that he makes, that goes viral. It usually starts with Emeka. Today's
my issue is the way he goes about it. Sometimes it's really it's easy for one to be offended somehow because you're always guilty. I don't know how he does it, but every time he puts a video, you are likely to be guilty. Right? You've done it before, or you're doing it at that point in time, and you just feel like, oh, they're talking to me. You feel attacked.
Okay, so we're talking about Aproko Doctor. He's in the building. I call him a myth buster because he has busted so many medical myths with his videos, and we have him in the studio with us to celebrate World Blood Donor Day. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Emeka and Nkechi out there. This one is for you.
Okay, so we're talking about World Blood Donor Day, and this takes me back to university. So I have a confession. It's in my past, so disclaimer, don't come and start judging me. But there was a time, out of the fact that I was broke, SACPA really hit me left, right, and center. I went to donate blood just so I can get some money. That was the motivation, nothing more. And I went and I came back. But I think the money I even got saved. I was like, wait, when I collect my blood and this money you go give me, really? Seriously? But then again, talk to us. What's the importance of people donating blood?
Very important, actually. A lot of medical procedures will not be available without blood transfusion, right? So the idea is that every blood transfusion saves a life. And I can understand the fear that some people might have when it comes to blood transfusion, because the first time I actually donated blood was in university too. I'd already set up. I was going to do something very, noble. I was going to save a life, and then I saw the needle, and I was like, "Oh, are you sure I'm really making the right decision?"
Yeah.
But it's actually very, very, very important. During the World War One, then in the world, that was when blood transfusion became an actual thing, and a lot of lives were saved. And it was after that a lot of research now went into how can we make it safer, for people, the whole blood group thing, because the idea behind blood transfusion is not just I'm going to get anybody's blood and give it to you. It's first of all, what's your blood group? Then what are the antigens? Basically the proteins around your blood cells. Because if I give you the wrong blood, it could cause more problems for you than actually solve problems. So let's think of it this way. In your blood, there's the liquid part and the solid part. Let me use solid parts because of a mechanic out there.
Yeah.
So there's the liquid part and there's the solid parts.
Yeah.
The solid parts are made up of cells. And they're basically three main cells. There's the red blood cells, which is what, when you look at the blood, that's basically what you see. Then there's the white blood cells that fight infections. Then there's the platelets, right? Now, when we say blood transfusion, most people just think, oh, blood. But sometimes it could be just whole blood, which is the one many people are used to. It could be that somebody's in need of white blood cells. And so they transfer the white blood cells from one person to another person. It could be a platelet transfusion. When you cut your skin, probably in the kitchen, there's a kitchen accident, you notice you don't bleed for long, right? That's because the moment the blood comes in contact with air, some proteins are excited, the platelets come together, they form like a wall, when Man City is trying to prevent you to score them. So they basically just form like a boss to stop the blood from getting out further.
Okay.
Now, sometimes some people have a deficiency of those cells.
Platelets.
Yes, platelets, and they need platelets. They don't need the whole blood. But the common one that we're used to is a person's whole blood is low, probably due to, they just had an injury, there's an accident, they've lost quite a lot of blood. And if we say how much blood, let's just say 4.5 to 5 liters.
Okay.
Generally. So imagine you're in an accident, a major blood vessel was cut, and the person has lost about 3-4 liters. There's very little chance, right? The only thing you can do for that person right now is to ensure that that person gets blood as quickly as possible. So whole blood, and that's the one that we're used to. Now there are blood groups, right? There's the A, there's the B, there's the AB, and there's the O. For you to understand it this way, just think of the blood cells having either an A protein or a B protein on them. So if the blood cells have the A protein surrounding them, we say that's an A blood group. Now, if we say the person has the B protein, that's the B blood group. Some people have a combination. That's AB. So that's the AB blood group. And then some people do not have any at all. That's the O blood group.
Okay, they don't have any protein.
They don't have any protein at all. But aside from those proteins, there are some antigens called rhesus factor, basically.
Yeah.
So, and it's either positive or negative. In other words, you have it or you don't have it. So some people have the A group, and then they have the rhesus. So that's A positive. Some people have the A group, but they don't have the rhesus. That's A negative. Some people are basically B negative, B positive, AB positive or negative, and then O positive and negative. Now, the person that can donate to everybody is the O negative, because they don't have no protein, they don't have no rhesus factor. Okay. Because the major thing that happens not the major thing, I keep using the major thing, but one of the things that can happen in blood transfusion is if the A person gets the blood from the B person, the A person sees the B blood as foreign, and remember, white blood cells. So he starts to fight it, because the body does not care whether you're trying to help my life or not. Is that this guy is not recognized, so get him out of the way. And in the process of fighting it, it harms the body itself. You get, so there, but technology has gotten to the point where it's easier right now to be able to get very little reactions as much as possible, because of the processes that go into making sure that people get the right blood that is suitable for them. Okay, but do you get, like Chiwete said, he was incentivized to donate blood. So do people get paid for donating their blood? We also have people who willingly donate blood as well. And why I'm asking that question is that you find that even when you donate blood freely, it's still for sale. Okay. So the whole idea of blood being sold is basically when blood is being donated, there are lots of processes that go into place to ensure that that blood is given out. There's a testing. There's a whole lot of screening that has to be done. There's testing. There's storage. There's the bags. There's the coagulants. So many times what you're paying for is not the blood itself. Is the processes that go into making sure that the blood is preserved and given to the person who actually needs it. So the whole idea is, but if this person gave it for free, why am I now paying for it? It doesn't make any sense. But I feel that if it's better explained this way, it's yes, of course, in some senses, some people are incentivized because we need blood. And the only way some people might donate is, if you give them something, and then some people are given as per thank you. But of course, the whole Nigerian spirit, they've turned it into a business. So I'm broke, let me go donate blood. And
now would you advise people, because most times when people are into crisis, have say like accidents and they lose blood, they always turn to immediate family members for donation. Would you advise that people should be intentional about who they get married to based on blood group?
Based on blood group, get married, it's quite complex, right? And it doesn't really affect accidents and blood donation. It mostly affects the chances of birth. Okay. So let's assume that this woman is A group, but she's negative, right? And she gets pregnant for a man who has a rhesus factor. That's the positive one. So whether it's O positive, AB positive, A positive, it doesn't matter. And she gets pregnant, they get a baby, and let's say in the process there's some miscarriage that happens, some accident, something, or even during birth, some of the baby, especially if the baby now ends up being a different blood group from the mother. So let's say the baby now is A positive, right? The mother, remember, she's A negative. A negative. The blood has entered into a bloodstream in some way. So the body says, this is foreign, attack it. Right? Now, because it's probably a small portion of the blood that gets into a bloodstream, the body already remembers. So it has prepared itself. It's kind of like vaccination, but
Yeah.
this time is against the wrong blood group. So it prepares itself, right? Now, if she gets pregnant again for somebody who has the positive rhesus, that's what could lead to miscarriage. Sometimes, you wait till it just keeps attacking the baby over and over again, and sometimes could lead to death. So that if it has to do with blood group and getting pregnant, I think those are kind of the questions that need to be asked. But it has gotten in such a way that if you register in a proper registered hospital, at some point you will be asked what's your blood group, and there will be the anti-rhesus that will be given to you to be able to prevent that second reaction from happening.
Okay, let's still focus on the blood groups, the various types, and all of that. So, as you've listed, we have the A positive, B positive, AB positive, and O.
Yeah.
Would there be any significant price difference because of the demand for maybe the O? Because it's more universally acceptable.
Yeah, so when we say universal donor, it's actually O negative.
Okay.
So, like I said, no proteins on the body, no rhesus factor, so almost anybody can. And it's actually very rare. Sometimes it could be as less as 5 to 7%. Generally, it's actually very rare. The one that's a little bit more common is actually the O positive. But then, if you give it to somebody who has, so it's the O negative that is actually very rare. When we come across someone who has that kind of blood, we actually encourage them to give, because sometimes you might have a patient and almost everything in your bank is something that doesn't match. So we encourage them, just give. And when we say price difference, I'm not so sure, because some people are frequent donators. Some people donate once in a while. Some people donate once in 6 months. Some people donate when it's blood donor day, and they take a picture and post it online. Some, but some have made it the habit. Price ranges, I'm not so sure. I can give facts on that, but I don't think there is.
All right, still another lifestyle station, and we're having a conversation as regards blood donation with Aproko Doctor. We'll still have more to talk about after this. Stay here.
It's morning radio with an exception on City 1051 FM, your number one lifestyle station.
Okay, it's another lifestyle station, City 1051. It's 9:27, and we still have Aproko Doctor here in the building as we talk about World Donor Day. Just in case you don't know, yes, it's the 14th day, the month of June, the year 2023. We're celebrating World Donor Day.
Okay, so let me come to you. You've spoken a lot about blood types and all of that, and donating blood. It's very alien to some people. Some people have never donated blood in their life. I was just reading that the National Blood Services Commission has said that Nigeria is only able to produce 25% of 2 million units of blood, which is what we're supposed to have available for 200 million people. That's 1%, which is 2 million, and we're only able to produce 500,000 units of blood. And so how can people be encouraged to donate blood? What should we be doing that we're not doing?
Aside from the incentive, which is effective in some areas, because let's look at the economic realities of Nigeria. Some people will only donate if there's some financial incentive for them. Another thing that we also need awareness, because some people also want to donate, but they do not know where to donate to, and that's why I like what you're doing with this channel at this point. It's creating awareness about blood transfusion, creating awareness about and then if you stay in Lagos, of course, there's the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, which is they're actually doing a good work, I must say.
Okay.
If you want to run any kind of events, just call them. They will come with everything. And all you need to do is just produce the people that want to donate blood at no cost to you. So those are things that people should actually know about, because let's face it, the blood does not last for long. If you donate now, it can only last for about 56 to 7 days.
Really?
It doesn't. It's not you donate blood and you can stay for the next 10 years, because they're made up of cells also, and these cells have a lifespan. So, which is why people are also encouraged to donate every 3 months. So don't make it a habit, and you don't have to be in some good. Just think of it as being responsible for the next person. Even as a doctor, when I was working in Imo State, there was a child who came in, had no relatives, just the mom, and it was my blood that I gave to the child, and I was still treating the child too at the same time. So it doesn't have to be. Yes, of course, I can't do that all the time because there's a limit to how much I can give. But when you find yourself in positions like that, please give. It is one of the only gifts that can actually save a life. When we say gift, many people just think money, but sometimes that pint of blood is priceless.
How many pints can you give, actually? That is healthy.
One at a time.
One at a time.
Only one.
So one every 3 months at a time.
Okay.
But is there a situation where one can have too much of blood? Is that possible?
Oh, yes. There's a condition called polycythemia vera, and it's a condition where a person produces too many red blood cells. So when you produce too many red blood cells, one of the managements is that just keep donating.
Just keep donating. Oh, okay. And there's some certain people, just to dispel the way we look at people. There's some people you look at maybe because of their physical structure. You think they don't have enough blood to give, or they shouldn't be giving blood.
This person too lean.
Yes. I will look at the chubby guys like, how far I'm going to donate now. Does it play any role at all?
I think when it comes to body size, especially if the person is an adult, it's safer to check their PCV levels, so their blood levels.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what the person looks like physically, except you can see some signs of anemia. The person's eyes, you look at your fingers, you're quite pale. You can tell the person, I think it's you that need the blood this time. Despite if the person is looking chubby. And there's some people who are, not as chubby as some others, but they have quite adequate blood, because when you donate that blood, your bone marrow, because that's where the blood is being, it now starts to replace the one. So it's kind of like keeping your body in order.
So there's this belief of, probably when you're done donating blood, to replenish it back, you take a lot of vegetables, malt drinks, milk, and the likes. What do you say about dieting when it comes to, for those who have actually donated blood?
Yes, I believe in vegetables. Malt and milk is basically just longer throats for the people that want to drink malt and milk. And I think I made a video recently about it, and the reason is sometimes when you go to hospitals and you give blood, right, they give you malt.
Why?
They give you malt because sometimes, like I said, there's also the incentive part, right? But then if a person donates blood and they're telling you, my eyes turning me.
I most times people say that.
Yes,
exactly. You're feeling dizzy.
Because aside from the cells you've donated liquid also.
Yeah.
Like I said, between 4.5 to 5 liters, right? So a person has about 10 pints of blood. You donated 1. So that 9 now has to recirculate quickly.
Yeah.
Now, aside from the water you've lost, there's also calories that are lost. So sometimes just say, well, just take the malt so that we can rest on this side. And then some people just say, because they gave me malt is to replace
the blood
that was lost. And then some people add milk, and then they found out that the malt and milk combination was actually quite sweet.
It's very sweet,
exactly. Without realizing that what you're just replacing is mainly calories, simply because the major ingredients for replacing blood is not so much in those drinks. You would literally have to drink a ton to be able to get what's probably a plate of ugu vegetables would have given you in quickly, because the major the major nutrients is iron and vitamin B12. So
okay, I like that you touched on this malt and milk subject. So let me just digress a little bit. So that the milk that they give people when they are maybe electrocuted, does it have any impact?
We still have a lot of work to do when it comes to health awareness, because there are some things that are just passed down and you don't have an idea who exactly told you guys that milk helps when you're electrocuted.
Give her milk.
Just give her milk. You get give her milk.
There's even one I know. A friend of mine who actually is into fumigation too. He always says that's what they advise him to do once he's done fumigating. He should consume milk.
Oh, okay. So the milk does what exactly?
It helps
Please help us understand.
So I think it's a myth. Milk is good. Basic sort of protein, source of some vitamins, basic source of vitamin D, calcium, to help your bones actually, provide proteins for growth. But electrocution, my dear, take the person to the nearest hospital, please. if there's anything that's gone wrong.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Quickly, let's just digress. We're still celebrating, World Blood Donor Day, and we're hoping that as you've listened to this program, you would be inspired to donate blood. We find that it doesn't stay for long, so you need to donate, every 3 months, as you said, as often as possible. But quickly, talking about you now, Aproko Doctor, and the videos that you've been making, when you get inspiration for those videos?
Sometimes inspiration comes by listening to other people talk. Like now, I've heard electrocution and milk.
Yeah.
It has gone into the books. It's going to come out sometimes. So a lot of inspiration comes from listening to people. Some inspiration comes from my experience with patients.
Okay.
Some inspiration comes from my team. Because we actually sit down and actually decide, okay, so what do we talk about? What is the pressing factor? That's why sometimes you see us respond to trending health topics and break the myths in them, because sometimes we have to take advantage of those trending topics because that is the perfect time to educate people on topics. Because let's face it, if you ever open Google and start to search for a health topic, there is a possibility that it's already too late. Let's think about it. If you start, you open your phone and you say causes of sores on private organs. There's a possibility that but so what we try to do is to prevent people from getting to that point. Because prevention is always better than cure. It's even cheaper than cure. So quite a lot of interactions, so we interface with people a lot, even in the comment sections. Some people talk about things that are really important to them, and then we get inspiration from that also.
Okay. Do you practice currently? And people because now you're hugely popular, so when you deal with patients, how does that go now, seeing that Aproko Doctor is actually the one,
because they might want to take a picture first before they even tell you what the problem is.
So yes, I still practice. But my time is now divided between public education, public health education, behavioral change communication, and then clinical practice. So most times that's another myth we need to break in Nigeria. Some people just say, doctor, you must be in a hospital. No.
With your stethoscope, please.
I'm telling you.
With your stethoscope on white coat.
Yes.
No. There are other factors there are other phases of medicine. One of them is public health education. So I can be a public health educator and still be a doctor.
Okay.
You get, because there are only few ways you can communicate what I communicate, except you are well versed in knowledge in that field, and it takes quite a lot of work to do that. So I can be a behavioral change communicator and still be a doctor. I can be a health policist and I'm still a doctor, because when it comes to health is broad. So there are people who are in government houses who are seeking to change policies that will help the average Nigerian. That is health also. And they're still doctors. But we just say, once you're not in the hospital, your doctor don't shake small. That's wrong belief, and we need to change that.
Okay, all right.
I still have one more question.
Okay, one more
before we let you go. So I obviously, when people look at you, you're an inspiration to a lot of doctors, and people want to do what you're doing. I want you to speak on health, the health sector in Nigeria. A lot of doctors have fled. Right, and when issues with doctors' remunerations come up, some people believe that maybe the doctor's asking for too much. But how is it, the remuneration versus the work that you actually do, especially when it comes to public health?
I'm live. That's the problem. First of all, I do not blame doctors who leave. Everybody is trying to do what's best for them, right? Secondly, we need to work on, because when we say every time doctors go on strike, you find that there's a shift in public empathy. You say, oh no, these people are asking for too much, but then if that doctor was your brother, there was a period I worked 3 jobs in Lagos. 3. I worked in Ianisolo, I worked in Festac, and I worked in VI. I was living off my backpack. And my salary, I don't want to say numbers, but my salary combined was not up to what a middle class financial person was earning.
Combined.
And I was literally putting my life on the risk every time. Because when I'm interfacing with a patient who has some sort of communicable disease, that's my life at risk. And then we look at the hazard fee of doctors. In Nigeria, it's still 5,000 naira.
It's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. It's 5,000 naira. So it means that if I get pricked with a needle from a patient who has a communicable disease, that's 5,000 naira.
Monthly. Or is it
Monthly,
like-
every month.
Okay, not per incident, not per case basis.
No.
Just
Monthly,
Wow.
every month. So all those cases in 1 month, 5,000 naira. I once had a colleague in Ibadan, UCTH, who was pricked with a patient with hepatitis.
wow.
And the hospital did not even take care of him. So it was fellow doctors who had to, contribute money and get the person the drugs that the person needed. So you find out that there's quite a lot of work to be done. If I'm putting my life on the risk every time and I do not feel like I am being taken care of,
Yeah.
what then is the point? I might have to go somewhere where I'm being better taken care of, where it seems like there is better hope. So we need to actually put more pressure on the government to actually treat health as something that is important. Because when we say health, right, we're also looking at the economy. If more people are falling sick, very few people can contribute their own economic quota.
Yeah.
But we pay more attention to infrastructure, or we've built bridges, but then the people are falling sick. Oh, we've built one flyover where there's probably no need for a flyover, and then the primary health center in that particular place is dilapidated. I currently run an NGO that our primary concern right now is making sure that hospitals have at least basic infrastructure. We are just starting. It's quite a lot of work. It requires a lot of money, but then we are not going to sit down on our hands and wait for the government to wake up and do it. Because in the Abuja Declaration of 2001, the government of Nigeria with other African countries actually came together and said that we are going to make 15% of our national budget solely for health. Nigeria has not crossed that. We've not even gotten to 10%. I think the one of the last budget was at 5% or so of the entire budget on health. Meanwhile, the remaining ones I used to pay salaries and basically just recurrent stuff.
expenditure.
How many times have we taken a loan for health? You know that these are the questions that we need to ask, and then put pressure to ensure that doctors don't leave. Because if they're not taken care of, believe me,
They'll leave.
they will leave.
All right,
That's
thank
a good
you.
place to drop the conversation this morning. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Aproko Doctor. He joined us to discuss World Blood Donor Day. Thank you so much for coming around.
Thank you for having me.